For 100 years, archaeologists thought they were digging in the wrong place. They said, "This can't be the capital of Pharaohs." But it was. Tanis had tricked them. A ghost city in the Nile Delta that swapped names, swapped stones, and buried its own history. But why did Egypt build a royal city in a swamp? What forced it to disappear under its own mud? And what secrets did it keep sealed for 3,000 years? Let's get into the mystery of the lost city of Tanis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Tanis, once called Janet, rose in the late 11th century BC. Egypt needed a new royal home after Pi-Ramesses was cut off from the Nile. So Pharaoh Smendes chose a swampy patch of land about 20 kilometers north. He drained, filled, and built it into a capital. Stone by stone, workers transported pieces from Pi-Ramesses to make new temples. The first monuments were mostly recycled. By Susenes I's time, around 1040 BC, Tanis had real walls and a harbor. They called it Thebes of the North. Temples to Amun-Ra, Mut, and Khonsu lined the city like its southern twin. Susenes I and the kings after him kept adding to Amun's great temple. They wanted to look powerful, even though Thebes still held the priests and the clout. Tanis grew busy with palaces, shrines, and a sacred lake. Trade routes from the Levant passed nearby, bringing ships and strangers. But the same Nile that gave it life slowly betrayed it. The river changed course, the delta filled with silt, and the canals dried out. In time, Tanis sank back into the sand, quiet and forgotten. By the 22nd dynasty, which was around 945 to 715 BC, Tanis was still a royal seat. Libyan-born pharaohs like Shoshenq I, known in the Bible as Shishak, and Osorkon II ruled from there. They shared power with other cities, like Bubastis, but kept their royal tombs close to home. The kings of the 21st dynasty were buried right under the Temple of Amun. Hidden beneath the floors, their graves stayed untouched for more than 2,000 years. Then, in 1939, French archaeologist Pierre Montet found them. He'd been digging for years when he reached the temple's southwest corner. There, he uncovered royal tombs that hadn't been opened since they were sealed. It was one of the biggest finds since Tutankhamun. On February 27 of the same year, Montet entered a tomb built for Osorkon II. It had been partly robbed, but much was left. A pink quartzite sarcophagus held Prince Hornacht. Hundreds of Ushabti figurines and alabaster jars were scattered around him. And behind a wall, Montet found another sealed room. Inside was a silver coffin with gold inlay, naming Shoshenq II. When King Farouk came to see it, he found a golden mask on the mummy's face and jewels nearly as rich as Tutankhamun's. The carvings showed the tomb had first belonged to Susenes I, so Shoshenq II must have been moved there later. Nearby, two more kings, Siamun and Susenes II, rested in small side rooms, reburied in haste. In March 1940, Montet broke through another blocked doorway, sealed by a piece of a Ramesses, the second obelisk. He stepped into the untouched tomb of Susenes I, who was later called the Silver Pharaoh. The chamber shone with gold and silver vessels. A black granite sarcophagus, once made for Merenptah, stood at its center. Inside it, A silver coffin flashed in the lamplight. The mummy had decayed in the damp soil, but the treasures around it were breathtaking. There was a golden mask, jeweled pendants, and gold coverings for every finger and toe. Next door, another intact tomb held Amenemope. He rested inside a reused granite sarcophagus from Queen Mutnojmet, wrapped in a gilded coffin with a gold mask. Monte's discovery brought to light 3 untouched royal burials, with 4 masks, 3 silver coffins, and mountains of jewelry. It should have made headlines for years, but as World War II began, Tanis slipped quietly out of the news. These tombs survived by luck. When the temple above them collapsed, it sealed the necropolis in rubble and mud. Buried deep, they escaped looters and time itself. For centuries, they waited in silence until Monte's flashlight found them again. And just so you know, Tanis wasn't just for kings and tombs. It was a working city full of priests, builders, scribes, and traders. Archaeologists say it spread out wide, more than 200 hectares across the delta, and at its heart stood the great temple of Amun-Ra. 200 meters long, wrapped in mud brick walls and packed with reused stone. Obelisks, sphinxes, and statues were transported here from older cities. Its layout copied Amun's temple at Thebes, so people called it Thebes of the North. Temples for Mut and Khonsu sat nearby, forming the same divine trio. Even a smaller version of Luxor's temple stood at the city's south edge. In the north, a sacred lake shone with blocks carved from older shrines. Temples came and went, rebuilt by kings who liked to leave their mark. Nectanebo I built the last shrine to Khonsu. The Temple of Mut stood just outside Amun's walls, redone again in Ptolemaic times. Farther southeast, the early Ptolemies added a temple for Horus of Messene. All these temples kept the city alive through faith and politics. Around them were homes, granaries, and workshops buried under layers of silt. People cooked, traded, and prayed within sight of giant statues. By the Third Intermediate Period, Tanis mixed Egyptian and Libyan families. The Libyan pharaohs of the 22nd dynasty ran things from here and nearby cities. Soldiers and mercenaries likely filled the barracks. Shoshenq I and his heirs kept their armies close. Priests managed estates and oracles for Amun and Mut. Tanis even had its own high priests of Amun, tied to the royal court. Craftsmen and goldsmiths made the treasures found in Tanis tombs: gold masks, silver coffins, fine jewelry, often built from older recycled pieces. As the capital of Egypt's 14th nome, Tanis held the government offices. Few papyri survived the damp, but one famous story did. The tale of Wenamun mentions Smendes at Tanis, showing it was a rich port with ships and trade. Stone carvings tell the rest. The year 400, Stela honored the god Seth of Avaris. Other inscriptions spoke of taxes, offerings, and royal orders. Even reused stones carried the names of past kings. A few ostraca record simple trade and temple accounts. Together, they show a lively city, a royal capital of the 21st and 22nd dynasties, where kings ruled, merchants docked, and families lived in the shadow of grand temples and fading glory. Since Tanis faded slowly as Egypt changed around it, when power moved to Sais and Memphis, Tanis lost its royal pull. but it wasn't empty. Later dynasties came back to patch up its temples. Nectanebo I and II even rebuilt parts of Khonsu's and Amun's shrines. Under the Ptolemies, Tanis was still important enough for new temples to rise. By Roman times, that glow was gone. By the 2nd or 3rd century AD, Amun's temple was a pile of stones. People carted off the blocks for new buildings. The Tanitic branch of the Nile dried up or slipped away. Mud, silt, and sinking ground slowly buried what was left. By the 7th century AD, Tanis was just a small, poor village. A few Copts stayed, but Arab writers saw only ruins and reeds. The name survived mostly in ghost stories and bad luck. No single flood or fire destroyed Tanis. It drowned inch by inch in its own mud. The ground kept sinking. The river wandered off. Salt flats spread where ships once docked. By the Middle Ages, its tombs and temples were sealed under dirt. Villagers dug out stones or found carvings in their fields. The city that once ruled the delta had sunk back into the earth. A lost city, undone by the same river that once gave it life. Tanis slept for a long time. Then explorers came in the 1700s and 1800s with maps, old texts, and a few Bible verses for clues. The Old Testament called the place Zoan, which was said to be in Egypt's northeast delta. In 1798, Napoleon scholars showed up at San el Hagar and said, "This must be Tanis." They sketched what they could see: half-buried temples and statues lost in sand. Serious digging began in the 1860s with Auguste Mariette. He cleared parts of the Amun temple and found dozens of statues. Among them was a 6-foot granite sphinx, first made for Amenemhat II and later hijacked by Rameses II. It sits in the Louvre now, looking smug. Then, in 1884, Flinders Petrie came next. He mapped the site and saw so many Rameses II blocks that people thought Tanis was Pi-Rameses. Turned out they were wrong. Pi-Rameses was later found 30 kilometers away at Kontir. But the real breakthroughs came in 1929 when Pierre Montet took charge. His French team dug through the temples of Amun and Mut, mapped the walls, and read the carved names. Then, as mentioned earlier, in 1939, they hit the jackpot: royal tombs. War stopped the work a year later, but Montet made sure guards watched the site. A few thieves tried their luck in 1943, but most treasures stayed put. After the war, he returned and published his findings in La Nécropole Royale de Tanis in 1958. His work proved Tanis had once been a royal capital in Egypt's 3rd intermediate period. It just took the rest of the world a while to notice. Since 1965, French archaeologists have kept digging, year after year. They've confirmed Tanis was both royal and sacred, buried deep under the delta's dust. Modern leaders like Jean Yoyot, Philippe Brissot, Franck Leclerc, and Frédéric Perraudot brought new tools to the job. Magnetometers and ground radar have mapped streets and walls without lifting a shovel. Satellites trace ancient Nile channels that once fed the city. Pottery studies now show when different parts of Tanis were busy or quiet. Recent work has gone beyond temples. And as you already know, archaeologists have uncovered homes, workshops, and tombs of regular people. Small finds, amulets, pottery, and tools fill in the picture of daily life. One big surprise was a full 25th dynasty tomb, still sealed, belonging to a wealthy official. It proved Tanis stayed a burial site long after its royal days ended. The Temple of Mut has also been rechecked, stone by stone, uncovering new gateways and inscriptions from the Ptolemaic period. Even soil samples are now used to track the Nile's old course and locate the vanished harbour. From Champollion's notes to Mariette's Sphinx, Monte's silver coffins, and today's drone maps, each age has added its piece. And still, most of Tanis lies sleeping beneath the sand, waiting for someone else to wake it up. Tanis has its share of myths. Movies turned it into a city of storms and curses. In Indiana Jones, it's the place where the Ark of the Covenant was buried. But that's all fiction. The Ark was never here, and Tanis didn't vanish overnight. It simply died under sand and time. Another story links Tanis to the biblical Zoan. Old texts from Egypt and Greece use both names for the same place. The Bible even mentions Zoan as an ancient city of Egypt. The names fit and the timing works, but there's no solid proof. Zoan might be Tanis, or maybe not. For a long time, people mixed up Tanis with Pi-Ramesses or Avaris. All three stood in the Nile Delta, close enough to confuse anyone. When Pi-Ramesses declined, Tanis reused its stones, adding to the mess. Archaeologists didn't sort it out until the 1900s, after they dug up Kontia. That's where Pi-Ramesses had really stood. Most of Tanis is still underground. Whole neighborhoods, cemeteries, and maybe its harbor lie hidden. Drill cores hint at an old Nile branch west of the ruins, but no docks have shown up. Even the royal tombs of Shoshenq I and Osorkon I remain missing. There's no curse or ghostly guards. All you'll find is sand and luck. The tombs survived because thieves forgot the place, not because of magic. And so, Tanis rose, fell, and slept for centuries until archaeologists woke it again. And now, in the ruins of Amun's temple and the silver coffin of Susenes, you can still hear the echo of a city that refused to disappear.